Hey guys, we're doing well today. So for today's video, I thought I'd give you guys a special video, and of course, with me we do have the QB lads. So first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, mate. Special video indeed. Rugby Itch has got the green screen set up for the first time, and it's got a big box in the corner. How many box do you think will be making their way into your team of the tournament, mate? A lot?
Yeah, quite a bit of a few. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say as many as I'd say the All Blacks because I feel like you have to give them some justice in terms of their performance throughout the Rugby Championship. But yeah, I have selected a few boxes in my team. But anyway,
Sorry, I was just getting brighter. It's very pale.
yeah, no worries. like that. But of course, yeah, for this video, guys, we are going to be doing a team of the tournament for this Rugby Championship. Myself and the Kiwi lads will be giving both of our team of the tournaments respectively. So we'll be giving you two separate teams. Just keep that in mind, of course, throughout the video. But before we get into it, definitely like this video, guys, and subscribe to the channel, and definitely check out the Kiwi lads. And I'll put a link below as usual. But anyway, let's get straight into this. So, of course, with the number one, we'll go with the front row, actually. So I'll start off with my front row. And I've actually gone with Thomas Golo at number one from Argentina. I thought he did a brilliant performance throughout the whole Rugby Championship. I believe he got 3 tries at the end of the day and just put in a string of performances really that caught my eyes. So that's the reason why I've selected him there. For number two, I've gone with Malcolm Marks. I know it's a tough decision, because you really do have a 2-horse race, as you'll get into shortly, between I guess the player you selected in Takilaho. But yeah, no, for my number 3, I actually have gone with Frans Malherbe. Again, it's a tough choice because I've really only gone for Malherbe just because I think he's been very consistent throughout the Rugby Championship. So that's really the only reason why I've gone for him. Yes, I could have gone for other players. I assume maybe I couldn't really go for I'm trying to think of a player who really stood out in that position. I guess I don't know, Toa maybe, or maybe Tyrell Lomax for the All Blacks. I thought he was pretty impressive throughout the Rugby Championship. But yeah, I think Frans Malherbe just kind of edges it for me. So that's the reason why I've gone from there. But yeah, no, Malcolm Marks, I know it's a tough call, guys, but I just thought he was brilliant throughout the Rugby Championship. So that's the reason why I've gone from there. So yeah, let me know your front row for this for your side.
Alrighty, so I've got a couple All Blacks in there, which I know straight away people will go, he's got the All Blacks in the background. Of course, he's going to select a few, but I went Ethan de Groot as my number one. I felt he had a very good second half of the Rugby Championship. The slight problem is, though, he didn't start a couple of those first matches. Instead, George Bauer did get that opportunity. Thomas Golo was brilliant for a youngster who didn't really have a lot known about him heading into this Rugby Championship.
Exactly.
A lot of people know the name Thomas Golo now, that is for sure. And I think in future, a lot of people are going to know the name Ethan de Groot. Number 2, I did go Samisoni Taukei'aho. It's a 50-50 between him and Malcolm Marks. I decided Taukei'aho, he really saved the All Blacks, to say the very least. You know, Cody Taylor wasn't playing well. Dane Coles wasn't playing well. And it just meant that it was going to be pretty much you needed a big player who was going to be able to bring up those big performances. And Taukei'aho, for me, I felt did very well. Malcolm Marks, so easily could have been in my team of the tournament. For my number 3, and that is Frans Malherbe there as my number 3. The loose head prop, the tight head prop. He played very well throughout the competition, had a lot of minutes. I don't believe he missed too much time at all when it comes to this championship in terms of starting time, other than maybe one game that they gave it to Trevor Nakanye. But other than that, I think Malherbe did start every single contest. So that's why he's there as my number 3.
Yeah, like that front row a lot. But anyway, we'll move on now towards the locking pairing for our side. So I'll let you start off, of course. Who have you gone with?
Alrighty, so the left side of your background will be very happy with these selections, as they are 2 Springboks. I've gone number 4, Eben Etzebeth, and then number 5, I went with Ludiacha. Now, it would have been a possibility of putting Whitelock in. I would have had him maybe at number 5, but the problem is a lot of people will remember he hardly played number 5 throughout this Rugby Championship. Did slot in at number 4 quite a bit. So that is the reason he isn't there. But Eben Etzebeth, the physicality of the man, always impressive. Line-out time adds so much to that Springbok 4-pack. And Ludiacha, the most line-outs successfully won for his side, and also getting a few line-out turnovers in the process, running the ball hard. So that is why my 2 box are my 2 locks for the team of the tournament.
No, like that a lot. Yeah, similar to you. I was also in the conundrum of kind of choosing between Whitelock, I'd say Eben Etzebeth, Lord Diaga, and I'd say another name I was even considering was Thomas Lalavini for the Pumas because I thought he had a pretty impressive tournament throughout. But I did go with kind of the norm, I'd say, within this position, but maybe one player, unfortunately, has to miss out. I think big player, actually, and I haven't actually gone with Eben Etzebeth, and which may be a shock to a lot of people, but I've actually gone with Whitelock at number 4. I just think that you have to really take notice of what he's done within this Rugby Championship and, the experience he has on his belt, of course. And I believe he led the side, actually, on a few occasions, obviously, just because of, Sam King had his injury, I believe, HIA, essentially. But, yeah, so I have gone with number 4, and for number 5, I have actually gone with Lord Diego exactly for the reason why you gave. He won the most lineouts in the competition, and I feel that's probably your most important job as a lock, in my opinion, because the lineup, the lineouts are important set piece, and particularly for the Springboks, they like to utilize that kind of setup a lot. So yeah, I believe. Yeah, he deserves a mention for sure. But yeah, anyway, we'll move on now towards the loose, I guess the loose forwards that we've selected. So I will start here, of course, and I think we have to have the same player here. I mean, I'm going to be very shocked if you don't have this player because I thought he was brilliant for the Pumas, and I actually have gone with Juan Martin Gonzalez. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sia Khaleesi. No.
Oh, he
But
wasn't bad either.
no, he was
He
pretty
did
good.
all
He was
right.
pretty good, actually. First of all, I think he's only like 23 years old. He's still similar to like Thomas Gallo. He's a long way to go for the Pumas, and I mean, it's going to be great to see what he can do in the future because I mean, he was everywhere. He was literally everywhere when I saw a Pumas game. It was unbelievable. I mean, like I think first of all, he got like a try for every for what was it for the first 3 games he played. So he got 1 try against the Wallabies in the first test, 1 try against the Wallabies in the second, and I think he got 1 try against the All Blacks in that first test as well. So he was continuing on to be like really good throughout the Rugby Championship, and of course he did get a try, I believe, against the Box in that I think it was the last game actually of the Rugby Championship. So yeah, he was like really really good form and someone who really just stood out in terms of not just his try scoring ability, but also I'd say his tackling as well. Because normally I say Marcus Clemmer as more of a tackling machine. I'd say in that loose forward pack, along with obviously Pablo Matera. But yeah, Gonzalez obviously contributed to that stat as well. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with him throughout. But yeah, for the rest of the loose forwards, I just really want to kind of dissect him the most. But for the rest of the loose forwards, I actually have gone with Fraser McWright here at number 7, which may shock a lot of people. And why I've gone with him ahead of maybe like Pete Samu. But I'm only doing that because I believe Fraser McWright has been more consistent, I'd say, throughout the Rugby Championship and played a lot more games than what Pete Samu did. Because don't get me wrong, Pete Samu was actually outstanding, I'd say, within the last 2 tests. And I arguably say he was the best loose forward, I'd say, in the last 2 tests. He was just exceptional, really, within both tests against the All Blacks. So I understand why there may be a bit of, I guess, maybe dilemma, I guess, in terms of my selection there. But I believe Fraser McWright really stood out for the Wallabies. I mean, he got 2 tries against the Box in that first test in Australia, and I believe he got another try against the Pumas. I believe in that first test, the first game of the first round of the Rugby Championship. So I think overall he's really just he was in good form, and of course he had to come into a position where really you wouldn't have an opportunity unless Michael Hooper was injured or just out. And of course, we all know that Michael Hooper was out due to his mental health and that, and hopefully, obviously, gets better in that sense. But Fraser McWright definitely took that opportunity, and in my opinion, really made a claim for himself for the next for the Rugby World Cup, really. So yeah, I was really impressed by him. And then for the number 8, really no doubt in my selection here. Honestly, there's not really anything I have to say about this guy. He just keeps on. Yeah, he's just exceptional. He's just an exceptional player and makes an impact every day of the week for this All Blacks team. But anyway, who have you gone with for the loose forward pack?
Okay, so for myself, I have got the exact same individual as you for my blindside flank at number 6, Juan Martin Gonzalez. That step on Willie LaRue was absolutely filthy in all the best ways possible. The way he shot around the outside, beautifully done. And also, like you mentioned, getting himself a few other tries in the Rugby Championship, making good meters, making great tackles, and just getting really involved for Los Pumas. Then number 7, his Pumas teammate, I have gone Marcos Crema as my number
Wow.
7 here.
Oh, I like that.
Reason being,
Okay.
yes, the attack is important, but defense is also very handy feature of Marcos Crema's game. He made 80 tackles throughout the Rugby Championship, which was a good 15 more than anyone else, I believe, on paper.
Yeah.
So that is very impressive from Marcos Crema. And the discipline wasn't too bad. Normally gets himself a few cards. I think he only got 1 or 2, which is actually very good for Marcos Crema in a Rugby Championship. Yeah. So I decided to give him the number 7. Like you mentioned, you've got Fraser McWright, Pete Samu, 2 very good options there. But yeah, I decided instead to go with the Argentine as my open side flanker. And then number 8, you said there was no doubt in your mind for yourself. At number 8, for me, I actually didn't go with Artie Savia. I did instead go with Jasper Visa.
What?
Is that the thumbnail face?
I'm so shocked by that. Yeah. You haven't gone with Artie Savia?
I felt he was very strong throughout the Rugby Championship. And the fact that, you know, anytime the Springboks were under pressure, it was still Jasper Visa who was having the best performance really out on the park. Turnovers won, tackles made, running meters in every single game. So that is why I did hesitantly, I will mention hesitantly, let's see whether or not I'm allowed around the streets of New Zealand now. I went with Jasper Visa at number 8 for my team of the tournament.
My gosh. Oh, my. I don't know what to say. I'm just in pure shock. But anyway, we'll move on now towards the backs, of course, for our team of the tournament, guys. And I believe you. Is it you or me to start? I believe you can start this time, if I'm not mistaken. So, you go ahead there.
Alrighty. So, anyone who didn't like me for my last selection, maybe it gets a little bit worse. I've got another Springbok at number 9, and that is going to be Jaden Hendrickse. Now, could have gone with him, or I could have gone maybe with Aaron Smith. I decided Hendrickse, though. Yes, he had a little bit of a shocker. I believe it was in the second game up against the All Blacks. He was nowhere near 100% in terms of his accuracy or anything along those lines, but I still felt he had a reasonable Rugby Championship. So with not many fly halves left, it did mean that it was kind of easy to pick out of only about 2 names. This time I've got Richie Morgan as the number 10. I felt he's really almost cemented himself as that fly half for the All Blacks now. And Beauden Barrett, he's going to have to work hard to get back into that starting lineup, although it seems like maybe he's got Will Jordan's jersey at number 15 at the moment. Yeah. Just saying. But now, who have you got as your 9 and 10?
For my 9 and 10 combination, this is the first time, but we actually do have the exact same 2 players in that position. So yes, I have gone with Jaden Hendrickse at number 9, and of course Richie Morgan at number 10. I think you have to go with Morgan, like you said, it's a clear cut decision really, because he's just the obvious choice at say number 10 and how well he's played throughout this Rugby Championship. But for Jaden Hendrickse, again, I think I actually didn't even consider Aaron Smith. I mean, I know that may seem a bit kind of out there, but I actually really considered it was really Jaden Hendrickse, Bertrand for Argentina, and I'd say Nick White, I think, for the Wallabies, who really caught my eye more than Aaron Smith. I'm not saying, by the way, Aaron Smith had a bad tournament. It's just he didn't have he just didn't make as much of an impact as I would like him to make, as what he makes for the Highlanders, for example. He's like the heart of that team. He normally becomes the heart of the All Blacks a lot, because the All Blacks like to use the scrum half a lot in terms of their set plays, in terms of attacking set pieces. But it didn't click at times. That's the only reason why I haven't gone with him. But no, Jaden Hendrickse, really, I mean, again, similar to what's his name, Fraser McWright, really, in how he kind of took an opportunity with a player out in his position, obviously with a Flaff obviously injured in that first game against the All Blacks, really just took an opportunity and really kind of sparkled, to say the least, throughout the Rugby Championship. So that's the reason why I've come from there as well. But anyway, this is where it gets a bit interesting, I think, in my opinion. We're going to move on towards the center combination, and this is going to come as a shock, really, I think, from my point of view. But I am going to go first in this position, and I can't believe I'm even doing this. But originally, guys, before I say this, by the way, I did have Havilian at number 12, but again, I couldn't go with him because he got injured towards the end, so I just don't think it's right to put him into the side even though he played brilliantly throughout the rest of the games. So I've actually gone with Jordie Barrett at number 12. And I wanted to put him in there because I thought he was pretty impressive throughout the whole Rugby Championship. And yes, I know, guys, I know he only played one game in that 12 position. But I'm putting him there because I felt I have another player at 15 who I literally can't take him out. Like he's another player who was exceptional, I believe, in this tournament, and I have to keep him in. So, but I also agree that Jordie Barrett definitely had a. I'm not going to say was exceptional, but he definitely improved on his performances throughout what we've seen in the last few years. I'd say for the All Blacks, because he was just. He was a standout player in most games. So I really do have to kind of not award him, but I kind of have to I don't know, take what's the word? Just like kind of acknowledge him. Essentially, I have to acknowledge him. So that's the reason why I've gone with him number 12. And then number 13. Again, I could have gone with Lukanio here, guys, but similar to obviously with a really just injury, the reason why I didn't go with him. So I have gone with Reiko in that position. I don't think that's really. Again, I think that's a clear-cut decision. I could be wrong there, but I believe Reiko was just a standout player throughout this Rugby Championship. Made a lot of try-saving tackles, if I don't mind saying. And he was just, he was good. He was a good player. So who have you gone with?
Well, unlike yourself, number 12 for me, I have gone with an inside centre who had played inside centre a little bit more throughout the Rugby Championship. I did go with Damien Dialende as my number 12. I felt he was very solid throughout the Rugby Championship, scoring himself a couple tries, few line breaks. He looked a little bit lost after, unfortunately, Lukanio did sustain that injury, but I felt like it took him 1 week to get used to Jesse Creel on his outside, and then in the next game, he did seem to be a lot more solid after having that little bit of a readjustment. Number 13, I've gone with Rieko Ioane, which I know will make you very happy, but it's one of those ones that if Lukanio played throughout the whole Rugby Championship, I think he would have been there as my outside centre.
I would have gone with Lukanio as well. Yeah.
It's a shame that he's injured. Hopefully he is going to be back and raring to go by he's out for the rest of the year. So I fingers crossed for maybe what even will it be? Maybe the mid-year internationals next year.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, it's one of those Lukanio has been a brilliant player, but it's just I feel bad that he's not able to play within the last, the Autumn Nations. So I would have loved for him to kind of continue his momentum throughout this, kind of this year, really, because I think he's the player of the year, guys. I mean, I may be wrong, and I keep saying that, but I know it's a broken kind of cycle. I keep saying that within every video of mine, but I believe he should be. But I feel like this could hurt his opportunity to do it if he doesn't play within the Autumn Nations, because that's when you really have the North versus South. So there'll be a lot more eyes in terms of who really stood out within that competition. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I have a funny feeling that because of this injury, he's not going to get Player of the Year, which is really heartbreaking for me. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully he does. But anyway, we'll move on now towards the final positions here, of course, with the wingers, 2 wingers, and the fullbacks. So I believe you will go first in this case. So who have you selected?
Okay, so number 11. For me, I did actually go with Marika Korombete because I felt like from early on in the competition, he was a lot stronger and making those match-saving tackles in some instances, making some big hits, running the ball hard. Caleb Clark in the second half of the Rugby Championship, if we had like 2 or 3 more games, I think I would have said that Clark was the better out of the two. But based off the whole Rugby Championship as a whole, I have gone with Marika Korombete as my number 11. Number 14, I don't think there's too many arguments here. Will Jordan, it's got to be in there somewhere. Yes, he had a couple quiet games, but even in those quiet games, he was still able to find just those little moments just to show everyone how good he still is. And then that last game up against the Australians, he really shone and still managed to score himself quite a few tries throughout the season, which was very impressive as well. And then number 15, it's a tricky one because, like you mentioned, I believe the player who you're going to be going with will maybe be wearing the green and gold. There's also the argument of Jordie Barrett as an option at 15. I'm really on the fence here between Damien Willemse and Jordie Barrett. It's going to be literally, if I pick one of them, I would have had the other one right next to me for the selection. Damien Willemse, he was strong from start to finish, wasn't he? Geordie Barrett is kicking. Is that the only thing that's going to split them? I'm going to go Damien Willemse, just because I'm sick of Will Jordan not getting that 15 jersey. So that's the only reason behind it. We'll go with that.
Like it.
Damien Willemse.
But look, I'll be completely honest. I am shocked to hear you haven't even considered one player who I'm about to mention. I'll be honest. I actually haven't. First of all, let's just get into the first player, because we agree on one player for sure, which is Marika Corbetti. 100%. I've been the best 11 I'd say throughout the competition. Again, you could have gone with Caleb Clark, or you could have gone with. I mean, I'm trying to think for the Pumas. Again, it was very rotational in terms of the player they selected there. And of course, who was it for the Bucks? I mean, Mapimpi. Oh, jeez, he was brilliant. But yeah, again, I have to go with Corbetti. I think he just really stood out, I'd say, from most of the games he played, and really made more of an impact, I'd say, for the Wallabies side than the other players. So that's the reason why I've gone with him there. But yeah, this is where it gets a bit mad, because for the number 14 jersey, I haven't actually gone with Will Jordan. I haven't even selected him at all in my team, which is a shock, I'd say, for most of you that know me. I love Will Jordan. I have like a he's a pain. He's a pain to the Blues side whenever we face him, but I love watching him when he's not against the Blues. So he's just one of those players who, yeah, look, he was exceptional. But I think there's one player in that position where he played more in the number 14 jersey who you have to consider more than Will Jordan, and it's Ilimano Boffelli. I thought Boffelli was just. He arguably could be player of the tournament. If Argentina, I know this kind of sounds mad to say, so no, obviously the All Blacks and won the Rugby Championship, but what Boffelli did in this Rugby Championship, and to get a win over the All Blacks in New Zealand, and to beat the Wallabies also in Argentina, he was literally the how do I say this, like the focal point of both of those victories. So I feel like you have to mention him in terms of that discussion in terms of player of the tournament. But Boffelli is definitely my number 14, and again, another kicking option, I guess, in terms of the side I've selected. But I feel like you have to go with him because he was just exceptional. And that try he got against the Wallabies actually in that second game where they wiped them out completely was just, I loved it because he was just so fast on the right hand corner and just scored that try. It's lovely. But no, for my number 15, same as you, I had gone with Damien Willemse. Again, I didn't really have a tough decision here because I've actually taken all the 15s in my squad already. So that's the thing, is that normally you'd have a tough decision there in terms of who you don't go with. But I think really the only other player I could have gone with is Will Jordan. But I guess he's just unfortunate to miss out. But again, if the All Blacks aren't going to consider Will Jordan the 15, I guess I can't. But no, I have to go with Damien Willemse. I thought, again, he was an exceptional player for the Springboks and one who really stood out, I'd say, for the entire competition, obviously besides the last game because he was injured for that one. But still, no, I think he's definitely one player I think you have to include. And really, I'd say that's a standout player, I'd say, for the Boks. In my opinion, I'd say throughout the Rugby Championship, because he's one that really caught my eye. Him and Malcolm Marks are the two for sure. But yeah, that's kind of it, really. So anyway, guys, thank you for everyone who obviously tagged along, obviously watched our I guess our differences in terms of who we believe is the I guess our team of the tournaments as well as our player of the tournament. But you know what? I'm going to ask you this right now, because normally I would do another video on this, and maybe we'll do a poll on the channel, guys. So obviously stay tuned on that. But let me know, who is your player of the tournament?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is tricky because it's once again, when you get asked on a live stream, who do you think's better, Beauden Barrett or Ardie Savia? And it's like they have very different jobs.
Exactly. Exactly.
Even though they're only a little bit apart. So it's the question of, do you like guys scoring tries, or do you prefer a guy who's either setting them up, maybe doing the work in the breakdown that allows those forwards and that backline to start going? I would say, for me, Samisoni Taukei'aho's definitely got a good shout for being the player of the tournament.
Yeah.
Alongside that, maybe if I had to go with another man, I'd probably look at someone like a Juan Gonzalez as another very honourable mention. I like that a
lot, yeah.
In there as well. But yeah, if I had to pick a back, it would probably be close to Damian Willemse, maybe. I know you're like Rico Ioane is possibly a shout.
No, I wouldn't even consider Reiko as for me. It's really between Williamson and Buffelli. I think those are the two players who I believe, if you're talking about the backs in terms of who you put in consideration, I believe those are the two players I have in my mind the most. I even said this on your stream. I think I would edge it towards Takiaho just because he, again, yes, I know I'm not basing this off because the All Blacks won the Rugby Championship. I'm not doing that at all. I normally go for a player who's made, I guess, who's been more consistent. That's kind of in my thinking. It's really consistency. I'd say the impact he has on games, but also I'd say what he does, how he contributes towards the team. I think that's kind of what I want to say in that sense. And I think he ticked all boxes in that department. And I think Takilaho, he's just been exceptional because you have to remember, guys, that the All Blacks, like they're in I think there's last year really where they didn't have an idea of who was their starting kind of hooker. There was still a lot of debate in terms of, is Cody Taylor the right guy? Yes, we are selecting him, but can someone else step up to kind of challenge him? Of course, Takiyaho obviously came in, and he is literally just skyrocketed, I believe, to obviously claim that position. So, yeah, I think he's the player of the tournament. Who was the most improved player throughout the Rugby Championship? Because I know it can go with more of another kind of award, but I feel like that's probably the one award I want to touch on the most. So who was your most improved player throughout the Rugby Championship?
So funny enough, while you were talking about Takiaho versus Malcolm Marx, I was about to say at the end, if I didn't give Samisoni Takiaho the player of the tournament, I would probably actually give him the most improved player of the tournament. Because when you look at what he did last year for the All Blacks, struggling to get minutes, line out throw was really not quite where it could have been. And then this year he's come out and no one wants to see anyone else but him now for the All Blacks at number 2. So he'd probably be up there for the most improved. If it was up to me. Also, I'm just looking through at my lineup of who, I guess the only other is probably either Jesper Wiese, although a lot of people who have been watching that man on the non-international scene know how good he can be and a breakdown and everything. But Jesper Wiese has almost confirmed that number 8 spot now, which I think is also a testament to how much he has improved over the last year or so.
Yeah, no. To his credit, he's been exceptional. I mean, even me at the very beginning, I'll admit, I was obviously heavy kind of set on Dwayne Vermeulen kind of coming back and towards the side and just seeing, obviously, I know he was coming back from his injury and having been played for a while. I know he was going to adjust, obviously, towards that first game. He have to adjust first. But then I was hoping afterwards he kind of build a bit more momentum going into this Rugby Championship. But yeah, Jesper Wiese was he really just claimed that spot automatically, really, just throughout his performances. So I definitely agree with you in that selection in terms of most improved. But for me, I think I have to go with Juan Martin Gonzalez. He's probably the one player who I consider the most improved player. Again, he's just a young player, and I always love to see kind of young players kind of blossom in terms of a competition like the Rugby Championship. And I believe he did that exceptionally well, and just really made a claim for himself. I mean, this is where my lack of knowledge comes in, by the way. But where does he actually play, by the way? Do you know where he played, which team he plays for in club rugby?
Okay, so he was at the Juarez.
I know he's at I don't know where he's now.
From there, I'm actually going to quickly Google it. I believe he has got himself a spot in either the Gallagher Premiership.
Oh, it's a Premiership.
Or he might be somewhere. Players to watch in 2022 looks like it is. Player watch with Juan Martin Gonzalez. I believe he might actually be at the London Irish. There you go.
Really? Oh, with Krevy. Oh, okay. I may watch a few games of him because he's one player who, I'm being honest, guys, he's really caught my eye. It's like I know this is kind of a weird comparison, but when Tane Basham played against the All Blacks for Wales in that Auto-Nations game last year, since that game, I've kept a close eye on him because he's just an exceptional player. And like him, I believe Gonzalez can obviously kind of replicate that for the Pumas. So yeah, no, I really am excited for what he obviously does in the future. But yeah. Anyway, that's it for the video, guys. Thank you obviously for everyone who obviously watched this video. Thank you, of course, the Kiwi lads for coming on once again. We'll definitely do a lot more in the future, maybe with the screen down, and we can maybe do a few more little things. But anyway, we'll leave it there. And like I said, I will leave a link in the description for the Kiwi lads channel if you haven't checked it out already. But other than that, thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that say stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Bill, I'm in the mood for a